wrist strap, wrist rocket, trigger release, index finger release, whatever you want to call them. This is what we're going to be talking about today, and more specifically, I'm going to show you how I've been personally using this release to get nice, clean, surprise shots every single time. Hey, what's up? It's Josh from the Dialed In Hunter. Today we're going to be talking about index style release aids and how to use them. So index style release aids are without a doubt the most common release used in bow hunting, and it's for good reason. It's got a wrist strap on it. They're easy to use. You don't have to worry about losing them in the field. But the easy to use part is kind of where things go south sometimes with some folks. At least it did with me, because it's such a seamless transition from shooting a gun. The common habit is to just, okay, I'm gonna get into bow hunting, and then they go pick up, and people go pick up an index style release aid. Oh, this is easy, I just hook it onto the D loop and pull the trigger, and that's it, which is essentially fine, right? And if that works for you, there's people out there that can use these releases like that and are accurate and consistent. They punch the trigger. If that's you and it works, awesome. That's good for you. Run with it. But there's a lot of folks out there, myself included, that ran into issues or run into issues when trying to use this release like that. And it's because it's just not, it's harder to be consistent when you are just boop, boop with the trigger. Accuracy in archery is all about repeatability and being able to do the same exact thing the same exact way every single time. Okay, so the least amount of variables you can have in the situation, the better, which is exactly why I think this way that I'm going to show you how to use an index style release aid is the best for that, because there's the least amount of movement, but you still get a surprise shot, and it's absolutely practical for the field. So first things first, you want to get this set up a certain way. There's two things you want to pay attention to, is the length here. You want it short, and you want to get your wrist strap around, choke up on your wrist pretty tight here. And you want to kind of get this to the point where this release for me is sitting pretty much at the base of my fingers when it's relaxed. Okay, I really like the Web Connect models of releases. This one is a Stan Extinction 2. The Web Connect lets you get this release a lot shorter than some of the other ones that don't have a Web Connect on them. So once you get that all set up, you want to set your trigger like pretty heavy. Okay. The reason for that is the way that I'm going to show you how to use this is you want to be able to wrap your finger really around that release and feel it when you're at full draw. And having a trigger that's too light, you're just going to have premature shots, and you're going to actually be in less control than you would if the trigger was heavy. So once that's all set up, what you want, this is what this looks like. Okay. Probably better if I do it like this first. When you're at full draw, okay, you're holding back a pretty good amount of pressure, right? Even with the let off, like there is pressure that's coming back this way. The way that this release, that I've been engaging the trigger of this release as of late is, I'm at full draw, okay, I come wrap all the way around the trigger. Okay, you can see my index finger is actually touching the release here. Okay, and then I'll touch this right here. These kind of act as anchor points a little bit for me. All you're gonna do, you're at full draw, you're gonna start relaxing your wrist and your hand, and then the release is just gonna go off. I didn't move my trigger finger at all when I was doing that. Okay, and so the way that works is there's a very minimal amount of movement that needs to happen in order for this trigger to go off. So what's happening here is my finger's wrapped around, okay? And when I relax my wrist and my hand, what's happening is my hand is actually collapsing a little bit, okay? That combined with the pressure of being back at full draw causes a little bit of movement, okay? It's very tiny. But if you're really wrapped around that trigger, okay, and you can feel that trigger, what's essential throughout this whole process is you want to keep your finger rigid, okay? Which is doing it this way, how it was explained to me, like, for lack of a better way, is it just takes the stupid out of it, okay? Wrap your finger all the way around, there's no movement, and all you're doing is relaxing your hand and keeping that finger rigid. The trigger runs right into your index finger, and then the release goes off. This is great because it doesn't involve, like, there's always, like I was saying, there's always back tension when you're shooting a bow because you're holding the bow back. But there's no, in the past, what I would do with this is I would come back and I would actually try to pull back, which that works. But with bows these days, how solid the back walls are, when you start pulling back, you're essentially pulling into nothing, and there's this shake that happens with your pins, okay? I found I am way more accurate by shooting like this and relaxing, because it takes the shake out of my bow and I can more focus on aiming. I feel a lot more solid, okay? And then I just relax, go through my shot process, and it just breaks super clean. I'm not at full draw nearly as long as I was when I was messing around with trying to, you know, with back tension and stuff. Something I'd run into a lot doing that was the issue of knowing how much to preload on the trigger with worrying about the index release going off in the process. So by doing it like this, there's minimal movement. There's minimal movement, okay, and it just goes off, okay? Very accurate, very consistent, and it's way more repeatable than just putting all the focus on your finger and going like this. So, like I said though, in the end, if punching and stuff works great for you, that's totally fine. If you have like a controlled punch, that's awesome. This is what's been working really well for me though, and I think it translates to the field really well as well, because if you have, you know, say like sometimes you have short shooting windows in bow hunting, right? If you have a short shooting window and you need to get the arrow off sooner than later, all you're going to do is just speed this up. That's it. Just speed up the process, okay? And if you're wondering if you're doing this correctly, try to record yourself or have a friend record you. What you'll notice when I shoot is that two things happen, okay? When I come back and the release goes off, there's two things that happen, okay? My arm goes back, my hand here goes like this, and my wrist goes like that. It collapses when the shot breaks, okay? That's how you'll know if you're doing this correctly and you're getting a clean surprise shot. So that's it. Hope you liked the video. If you do, please hit thumbs up. If you like the channel, please hit subscribe. If you have any insight on index style release aids, drop them down below. I'd love to hear how you're using them and what's worked best for you. This is just what's worked best for me. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.